What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Week 9 Commish Report, where I break down the week that was, preview the week to come, and we'll go over the standings in the league for which I am the commissioner for the League of Shiva. We'll also take a look at the current playoff picture as well. I will say, first of all, I'll just start off by saying that I'm now wearing my New England Patriots hat and my New England Patriots shirt, and I've retired the Red Sox hat because the Red Sox wound up winning last week, so I was very happy about that, and they are now World Series champions. So, time to retire baseball, and it's all football from here on out. I will say that in Week 8 in the League of Shiva, it was probably one of the most exciting weeks all season. There were some upsets, some blowouts, some close games, and some come-from-behind victories. It was fun to sit here all day long on Sunday and Monday looking at how the week was shaping up. But let's get right to it since there's a lot to get to, starting with the matchup of the week. Hump Day Camels, 138 to 131 over the Nocho Cincos was a come-from-behind victory. This definitely is my pick for matchup of the week. Hump Day Camels, Linda's team, were losing the entire day on Sunday while Nocho Cinco put up 131 points on the heels of a stellar performance from Cam Newton with 19. Danny Amendola got her 23, and Marshawn Lynch got her 18. And in fact, the Nocho Cincos only had 2 players with fewer than 10 points on her team for the entire week. So that's really good. I mean, she had a great week. As her team was finishing up on Sunday afternoon, my mother's Nocho Cinco team was looking like they were going to win the matchup. Hump Day Camels also had Ben Roethlisberger and Jericho Cotchery on her bench with a collective whopping 71 points. Now, just before the night game on Sunday, the matchup was 131 to 68 in favor of Nocho Cinco. Now, you would think that that's gonna be it for the week and that Nocho Cinco is going to win that matchup. However, I kept telling Linda that she still had her Colts defense, Andrew Luck, and T.Y. Hilton left to go on Sunday night in the Sunday Night Football game, and then she was done for the week. And we had just seen that it's possible to get ridiculous numbers from just 2 players do phenomenally. Roethlisberger and Cotchery got her, they got her a ton of points on her bench, like I said just a moment ago. But I told her that she wasn't completely out of it yet. And she's like, I don't know. I think I'm probably done. It's going to be another loss, blah, blah, blah. Then all of a sudden on Sunday Night Football, Andrew Luck gets her 32 points. T.Y. Hilton gets her 37 points. And even though her Colts defense only got her 1 point, it did not matter. She winds up coming from behind on Sunday night to win the matchup 138 to 131. It just goes to show you that on any given day, any given Sunday, any player can either make or break you in fantasy football. With the tough loss to the Hump Day Camels, Nocho Cinco falls to 2-7 on the season as the Hump Day Camels keep their playoff hopes alive, moving to 4-5. Now, my second pick for matchup of the week would definitely have to be my game, which is Big Fat 77s, my Big Fat 77s winning 98 to 92 over the Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros. The reason I didn't make this the matchup of the week is because, again, my criteria for a great matchup involves usually getting more than 100 points or some sort of crazy thing that happens. And yes, there was some craziness in this matchup. As I stated in my Week 8 report, this matchup was going to be a tough one for me since I had Peyton Manning, my Broncos defense, and Julius Thomas all on a bye week in Week 9. So I had to go with a group of players that are atypical of what I'm used to playing. I'm not a huge fan of Joe Flacco, but I did have to go with him, and he still managed to get me 24 points, so I was very happy about that. And then after Sunday, Timmy was done for the week with 92 points. I didn't have anybody left to play. My Big Fat 77s came from behind. I played from behind all the whole week on Sunday, and wound up tying the game on Sunday night after Donald Brown got me 4 points, and then the matchup was tied at 92. Timmy had no one left to play, and he would have won a tie since Drew Brees got him 30 points. But all I had to do was get 1 point from Jordy Nelson on Monday night, because that's all I had left to play. And then Monday night, I see Aaron Rodgers goes down with a collarbone injury, and I'm like thinking to myself, "Oh man, now I have to worry about Seneca Wallace, the backup quarterback for Green Bay, throwing anything and making sure that it's caught at least one time by Jordy Nelson for at least 10 yards." Turns out I was all set. Green Bay lost, but I still managed to get 6 points from Jordy Nelson. So for the second week in a row, Jordy Nelson was the difference maker for my Big Fat 77s. Timmy's the Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros lose 2 straight and fall to 5-4. But he still holds on to the second seed in the league, being that he is the top team in his division. And I remain at the top of the entire league, now having won 7 straight matchups in a row, and my record is 8-1. So now we've looked at the 2 best matchups of the week, in my opinion. Now it's time to take a quick peek at the poop matchup of the week. That's right. The Doug Tatorships. Get this, guys. You're never going to believe this. Doug Tatership wins 86-37. The Mile High Social Club only put up 37 points. I'm going to take a moment real quickly to speak directly to Doug. Doug, if you're listening. Really? Really, Doug? I mean, really? How many victories are you going to steal this season? First of all, 86 points was only enough to beat Dan's Mile High Social Club. You would have lost to every single other team in the league. Wow. I'm sure you were sitting there jumping up and down that you had such a poopy week and still came away with a victory. And now that you're over the 500 mark at 5-4, I'm sure you're happy about that. That's also tied for the best record in your division. It's unbelievable. The only thing I will say is that I do understand that Doug had Aaron Rodgers, who went down with the injury, as I stated just a moment ago. And he only had 1 point on the board from Aaron Rodgers when Rodgers went down. So 5 other players in his lineup, however, had 8 or fewer points. Even more unbelievable than that would definitely have to be that Dan only put up 37 points, 37 measly points in Week 9. I mean, 37? Wow, again. 0 points from Marquez Colston. 0 points from Ken Brell Tompkins. 0 points from Arian Foster. And 0 points from his kicker, Blair Walsh, who actually had 5 points at one point on Sunday. But because he can't kick, he did kick a field goal and 2 extra points earlier in the game. That's what got him his 5 points. But then he managed to miss an extra point late in the game. I don't know if anyone out there saw that. But he missed an extra point after touchdown, which I made in this league a -5 score if your kicker misses an extra point. So his kicker winds up with 0 points. And that's pretty much it. That's a huge upset, I guess. But it's the poop matchup of the week. It's just absolutely poopy. Every time I look at that matchup, I'm like, wow, 86-37. That is just unbelievable. But anyways, the Doug Tatership moves to 5-4. Mile High Social Club moves to 2-7. All right, enough about the poop matchups of the week. Moving on to a matchup that definitely was a candidate for matchup of the week, if it weren't for the 2 that I chose. This is more like the blowout of the week, and that would be the Google This All the Ways, beating the New Hampshire Madmen 187-88. Chris's Google This All the Way put up the second highest point total of the season, second to my Big Fat 77's 198 in Week 1, but we won't go there. And he winds up crushing the New Hampshire Madmen by 99 points this week. This was a very important victory for Chris, as with the win, he's now tied with Dave's New Hampshire Madmen at 6-3. The New Hampshire Madmen had 7 of his 9 players with 10 or fewer points. But he did get big performances from Eddie Lacy, who had 26, and Pierre Garçon, who got him 22 points, but it wasn't enough. Chris's Google This All the Way had 5 players with 26 points or more, including a 54-point performance from Andre Johnson in a losing effort on Sunday night. Jimmy Graham got him 30 points as well. Huge games from Romo with 28, Deshaun Jackson with 26, and he even had Mike James, the running back from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, not only have more than 150 yards rushing, but also threw a 2-yard touchdown pass. So, anyways, moving on. The Binghamton bye week, I think not. The final matchup of the week to talk about was the one that I said in my Week 8 report would be a walk in the park, or the bye week, the Binghamton bye week, if you will, for the Philly Cheesesteaks. That was not the case. That's right, folks. My brother John wins 131-94 over the Philly Cheesesteaks, snapping his 5-game losing streak by beating the Philly Cheesesteaks and picking up his second win of the year. This actually keeps his playoff hopes alive, believe it or not. But he pretty much has to win the remainder of his matchups in order to keep his playoff hopes alive. I do have to say this, and it's true about all of fantasy football. Any given day can be it be a good one or a bad one. John put a lot of his eggs in one basket with the Patriots, getting Tom Brady for his quarterback, Steve Van Ridley as his running back, and that was all. Those were two players he drafted on draft day. The unfortunate thing for Binghamton is that those two players were really not that good at all for fantasy numbers in the first 9 weeks of play. Luckily, that changed this past Sunday as he got 53 points from Brady and a big 26 points from Ridley as well. The rest of his team didn't do anything too spectacular, but those big days from Brady and Ridley helped his team cruise to victory. Jeff's Philly's Cheesesteaks didn't have a bad week necessarily, getting 23 from Alfred Morris, 21 from Brandon Marshall, but he had a couple of his players poop their pants, getting 8 or fewer points from 5 out of the 10 players on his team. Jeff falls to 5-4 with the loss. Binghamton with the win moves up to 2-7 on the season after this crucial win. Okay, so that was the week that was. Time to move on and preview Week 10 in the League of Shiva. So real quickly here, the first matchup to go over, Big Fat 77s at 8-1. That's my team against Jeff's Philly Cheesesteaks at 5-4. A division matchup this is. And it's also a rematch of Week 1 where I beat Jeff 198-101 to start the season off. This will be our final matchup against one another in the regular season as Jeff's Philly Cheesesteaks look for redemption from that Week 1 loss. So far, I am projected to win, but we'll see. If Peyton Manning throws 7 touchdown passes again, I should be able to cruise right ahead to victory. Obviously, as I just talked about, Jeff is coming off a tough loss this past week to the worst team in the league. So it should be fun to watch this matchup. Moving on, the 6-3 Google This All the Ways will be taking on the 2-7 Binghamtons. Binghamton will try to get redemption against Google This All the Way after losing to him only by 1 point 3 weeks ago in Week 7. If you look back at my Week 7 report, Binghamton lost 68-67 that week to the Google This All the Way. This is also the final time that these two teams will meet in the regular season. After winning for the first time in 6 weeks the other day, John will now try to make it 2 in a row. This is a division matchup, and it will also be the final time that these two teams meet. Man, I'm just fumbling over my words here right now. But since it is a division matchup, it is just as important that the Google This All the Way, Chris's team, win this one. And this one will also be fun to watch. Now, moving on, the 4-5 Hump Day Camels look to make it 500 against the Doug Tatership, who are now at 5-4, stealing all those wins. This is also a division matchup and a rematch from Week 5. In Week 5, Linda's Hump Day Camels won 136-109. She will be trying to snap a 4-game winning streak for Doug, as Doug Tatership has won the last 4 matchups in a row. In fact, after losing to the Hump Day Camels in Week 5, the Doug Tatership has not lost a matchup since, even if a few of them were sneaky wins. Yet again, this is another matchup in Week 10 where it's a final meeting of the two players during the regular season. Hump Day Camels look to make it 2 in a row, and like I said, move to 500 on the year. Also, it's the battle of the 2-7s. The Nocho Cinco is taking on the Mile High Social Club. Yet again, another division rematch. This time it's a rematch of Week 6, where Dan's Mile High Social Club actually pulled off a win with a quarterback tiebreaker, winning 98-98. That tough Week 6 loss to Dan and losing to Linda this past week is making my mother's Nocho Cinco's team see red. Both teams will look to turn their seasons around and keep their playoff hopes alive. And my mother will also be looking for sweet revenge after that Week 6 tiebreaker loss to Dan. And it's the first 3 matchups I mentioned for this week, and this week coming up in Week 10, are also the final time that those 2 teams will meet during the regular season. The last matchup in Week 10 to talk about is the 6-3 New Hampshire Madmen taking on the Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros at 5-4. This is the only non-divisional matchup in Week 10, and it's the first and last time that these 2 teams will meet in the regular season. However, a win is extremely important for either team, as after each of them are coming off of a tough loss in Week 9. A loss for Timmy could actually move him out of first place in his division, which he has held on to since Week 1. All right, that's going to wrap up Week 9's Commish report. Let's take a quick look at the standings and the playoff picture real quick. And thank you for joining me for Week 9's Commish report. Be sure to tune in next week as we will do it all again. Here come the standings, everybody. Okay, after 9 weeks in the 2013 League of Shiva Fantasy Football League, here's where the teams stand. In the North Division, my Big Fat 77s remain atop at 8-1, as Google This All the Way and New Hampshire Madmen are tied at 6-3. Philly Cheesesteaks have a 5-4 record, and the Binghamton, with a Week 9 win, move up to 2-7, but still the 10th overall seed in the league. In the Shiva South Division, you only need a 5-4 record to be on top of the division, and that's why the Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros are at the top of the division, along with the Dictatorship. 4 and 5 are where the Hump Day Camels are, sitting in 3rd place in the division, as Mile High Social Club and Nocho Cinco are tied at a record of 2-7, and are in a 3-way tie for the worst record in the league. The main thing to take away from these standings is to remember that the division winners are automatically the 1 and 2 seeds in the playoffs, and then the seeding is overall after that. That being said, let's take a peek at the playoff picture after Week 9. So, even though there are 2 teams with better records, Timmy's Some Things You Can't Unsee Bros are still 2nd overall in the league. He is still locked into that first round bye week with my Big Fat 77s. If the playoffs were to start this week, the first 2 matchups would be the number 4 New Hampshire Madmen taking on the number 5 seeded Dictatorship, and the 3 seed Google This All the Way taking on the number 6 Philly Cheesesteaks. This means so far only 2 teams from the South Division are currently in the playoff picture. 4 out of the 5 teams in the North Division are currently holding on to playoff seeds. Thanks once again for watching the Commish Report, and I'll see you later.